Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to build a contender in a 10-team start 13 league with a 2-point tight end premium, Brandon. No matter what, though, it really doesn't shake the dynasty sentiment on Kyle Pitts. So in this league, do you want Jaden Daniels in a 26th third, or do you want Joe Burrow and Kyle Pitts?
Give me all the Jaden Daniels in this trade.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Welcome into the All Gas Trade Show. I'm Ty at Ty Declare 44. I'm joined this week by Brandon at the BG-C, and we're here to talk your trades, baby. Yes, we're in for another one. We're in the dog days of summer here, and all we got to do is talk some damn deals. So, Brandon, how are you doing, my friend? And welcome into the show.
Thanks, man. It's been a while since I've been on the All Gas Trade Show. Loving the whole setup and the vibe and everything. Like, let's get the trades. That's what people are here for. They're not here to hear how I'm doing. They really just want to hear their trades.
That is fair. You know, there's all the time for pleasantries in the Discord. So if you're not there yet, you can hit the code TRADEGO when you sign up for the website ddfantasyfootball.com. You get access to the Discord. You get 50% off your first month, and you get a roster review from me and Gabe on the arm when you use those codes. So just let us know. Hit us in the DMs. We got you. Patreon.com/allgas still gets you in the door. Also, Underdog, if you're new there, use code ALLGAS to get up to 1,000. Sign up in a special pick. So go on and do that. It's big Underdog season, Brandon. So we love that. Again, hey, we're going to get weird on this show. Okay, we're talking weird 10 by 13, multi-tight end, Triflex. We are going to get into the weeds here, okay? So if you're a fan of the standard leagues, just hang on. We got some more, palette cleanses at the end of the show. But I want you to think context and why things matter. Because if you can extrapolate this out, it can really help just, to understand why we feel a certain way in certain leagues. So I just encourage you to come along the ride, hit like if you want to, if this turns your Dynasty brain on in July, hit subscribe, hang out for everything happening over at the channel, Manic and Chill. We got Dynasty Theory. We got the mailbag with my man, Brandon, one of the best new shows on the channel. Tune out for that Saturdays if you can. But Brandon, you were right. The people are here to talk trades. So let's just get to the damn trades. So, easy Matt. 10 by 13 Superflex PPR. It's a 6-point passing touchdown and a 2-point tight end premium. Now, again, 6-point passing touchdown. I like Burrow in those formats. And 2-point tight end premium. You should like Pitts, but that's like a tide razor. It's not a Pitts razor. You know what I mean? And no matter how I cut it, I don't want to use Pitts to move off of my Jaden Daniels. So I'm on the Jaden Daniels side here as well, but talk me through this one a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Jaden Daniels side. I think getting the 2026 third is kind of just like an extra free gift. I mean, Kyle Pitts and a 2 PPR tight end premium. Ty, what's that? Like an early second? Maybe. Like probably straight up like an early second. Like even if you said 201, 202. Right, we'll go all the way to the extreme.
You're not getting my 201, but I'm here with you. Someone might. Right?
I probably won't, but let's just go all the way to the extreme, right? Someone's going to give you that 201. Is Joe Burrow in 201 or Jaden Daniels in a 26th third? Like, that's just how you break it down. Like, for me, at least, that's how my brain is doing it. Like, the cost to get up from probably tier 2 Joe Burrow to tier 1 Jaden Daniels is Kyle Pitts, and I get a third. Yeah, even in a 10 by 13 super flex, like quarterbacks are probably not as super valuable, right? Because it is it is 10 by 13, so you still have 130 starters. Yeah. But like having Jaden Daniels in your back pocket can probably unlock a lot of things. And you can get off of the roster spot of Kyle Pitts. That's the other, like that's the sneaky part of it all too. It's like, hey, you can have this Kyle Pitts over here, like I was doing in the Discord this morning, actually. Kyle Pitts has 0 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons.
That's crazy.
Like, it's crazy to think that, like, at some point, either the touchdown regression is going to happen with Kyle Pitts or he's just going to be completely irrelevant. So this is like the last ditch effort. And if I could attach up to Joe Burrow to get Jaden Daniels, I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, but I really think like this is just a really easy way to tier up from that Joe Burrow tier of quarterbacks.
Yeah. If I have Kyle Pitts in this kind of a format, 2-point tight end premium, I am simply trying to play that tight end market. Well, hey, you can put Pitts in the flex to start 13. You need depth, right? But end of the day, like in a 10-team format, if I'm messing around at quarterback, I do think there's an advantage in getting up to your Josh Allen, your Jaden Daniels, your Lamar Jacksons, right? Getting to that kind of quarterback, I want to do that at all costs. And Joe Burrow is sick. He had his outlier season. And he's poised probably to do it again in the offense that he's in, right? So in a 6-point passing touchdown, I like Burrow. But I'm okay using that Pitts value to move up to that Jaden Daniels, pocket that 26th third, right? I can use that in season. And I'll just play with the guy that I'm going to bet is the difference maker. But if you told me as well, hey man, like I value depth in a 10 by 13, all right. It's pretty much akin to a 12 by 11. So, depth starts to matter a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that, especially in July. I'd rather go up, get the difference maker. I can figure out tight end later.
Ty, does the trade change for you if the third's on the other side? So it's just Jane Daniels for Burrow, Pitts, and a third. Does it really change that much?
Probably shouldn't impact it, right? I'd probably just that doesn't really change the conviction on either side. I just give me the Jaden Daniels, yeah. And I mean, that's what Easy Matt said. Had this gem drop into his inbox and quickly accepted. Start 13 and tight end premium. He has solid depth overall. He only has Njoku and Higbee at tight end, but I still thought this is a layup. Well, it's still probably a start one tight end league. So Njoku, you're going to be just fine. And Higbee, like I said, that's there. You can always find more tight ends, especially in a 10-team league, Brandon. I feel like the waivers, there's probably tons of them, or at least there's moves that could be made for many tight ends down the line.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some opportunities where he can utilize that 2026 third with somebody that's probably on his bench, where if he needs to go get a Tyler Conklin type tight end that's been pretty steady, but doesn't necessarily carry the tight end name value. I'm sure you could probably go get something like that to fill in the stopgap if Njoku was to go down. Like, it's probably not easy to go and acquire a top 12 to 15 given the 2-point tight end premium there. So, but you have options.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us know. Do you want Jaden Daniels? Are you leaning into the tight end premium? Are you leaning into the Joe Burrow? Because Brandon, people say in the comments all the time, we don't really put the oomph behind tight end premium or PPC leagues. We don't do that enough. So we're going to talk through those kind of leagues on this show, but maybe we're not putting enough oomph behind that tight end premium and to raise the value of Pitts. But again, Pitts is a means to an end for me. And if that means is to Jaden Daniels, you'll get my end. I don't know what the end of that saying would be, Brandon, but we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Cody C. Smith, TFDR, friend of the show. Go check out last episode if you hadn't. We went through Cody's projections and how that can project forward what we want to do with some what we're expecting to happen in the NFL. And one of those guys we talked about was Drake May. Cody sent away Drake May and his Drake London, the double Drake deal, and Dante Thornton, right? Dante? Is that Dante? I don't know. He got Rashee Rice, Jared Goff, and a 2027 first of Brad. So the same guy he's trading with here. So Brandon, 12-team Triflex best ball, 14 starters. So it's a deep league, it's best ball, and it's Triflex. The rookie draft is before the NFL draft, just for some more context there. But on this here, are you leaning Drake May, Drake London, and Thornton, or Rice, Goff, and the 27 first?
So I'm trying to break this down a little bit in my head, because this is usually how I try to break down deals. So bear with me here. Goff and the 27 first or Drake May, right? Do they kind of cancel each other out a little bit there? Like Goff is not in the same tier of May. It probably requires a first to get up to that. So then it's Drake London.
In a Triflex best ball, you're probably not getting that. Like I'm probably not.
No,
I'm probably not using my first Thornton to go up.
It's Thornton, the kickback.
Sure.
The kickback, sure. Right? Like that's the depth piece.
Sure.
So then it's Rashee Rice or Drake London. Like that's what you're choosing between. I think Cody maybe gave up a little bit too much to get that Rashee Rice. Just me. I think that the value there, because like even if I was to, because I'm just trying to cancel out. I try to always cancel out even pieces and deals to make it as easy for my brain, because sometimes you see a 3 for 3 and you're like, there's a lot of pieces in this deal. Okay, well, what can be ripped apart and ripped out. So, yeah, I think the easiest way for me to see it is Drake London or Rashee Rice, because I could see a way where Goff in a 27 first or May and Thornton is a very fair deal in any format. For the most part, people you either want the youth of May and you get the flyer of Thornton, or you're going to take the Jared Goff and the 2027 side, which I could understand what Cody's trying to do, because then he can probably split that 2027 first either in season or later on down the road into maybe one or two pieces, depending on how somebody wants to work. So on the surface, if we're doing just a straight in a vacuum, I want Drake May, Dante Thornton, Drake London. Like that, I want the Drake side. I want Drake squared.
You want Drake squared.
But if I'm looking at a post vacuum, what I can do from a splitting asset side, I think Cody has the assets that can be split, because I could split Rashee Rice into wide receiver 15 to wide receiver 45 range and another pick. I could split that 2027 first into another piece that I may need in season and an additional pick. Like, they're not that you can't do that with Drake May and Drake London, but there's less steps.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, for sure. Like, it's probably a little easier to get the smaller deals done than trying to get like the big fish on the hook, And I mean, if Cody's team name wasn't The Sweet Life of Drake and Cody before this deal went down, like, that was a big missed opportunity. So, hopefully you had that one in the chamber there, Cody. But Drake May, Drake London, those are the sexy assets, and that's what people like in Dynasty. And I know that part of Cody's motivation here is what he's projecting for May, what he's projecting for Goff, and he has Drake London and Rashee Rice a hell of a lot closer in terms of production this year. And let's be honest, right? A lot of the Rashee Rice value is questionable because we don't know what's going to happen, whether it be with suspension, whether it be with the offensive breakdown. There's question marks, right? And now is the time to take these bets. So if Cody is right and Rashee Rice does score similar, if not equal to Drake London, I think his dynasty value is going to be similar to what we saw, week 3 before Patrick Mahomes chopped him out. But yeah, so when I'm looking at this, right, 12-team Triflex start 14. If Thornton, he could be a nice little best ball end of bench guy that can pop in, especially in a start 14, right? So he's not nothing. He's not just a cut, right? He's something in a best ball league. But when I think of like a Triflex league, I don't need to necessarily have the best quarterbacks. I want roster construction quarterbacks, and Jared Goff is a big check mark for that. So in my mind is if I can move down from Drake May to Jared Goff, pick up a liquid first that I can use I can split it. I can use it in season when I need to. If things don't go my way, I have another out. And then I just take the bet that my Rashee Rice might be able to meet up with that London. I definitely see where that is, because if Goff and May are close to you and Rice and London are close to you, a first and Thornton damn sure aren't close. So I see what Cody's doing here. I think in a 12x14 Triflex best ball, if you need to get into quarterback, you need first to do that. So I'm going to lean Goff, Rice in the first here. But I think probably, Brandon, you might agree, is the maximum value, or the most flexible assets are on the May and London side of this one.
Yes. I think what Brado has 3267, what he can do after this trade is probably far more flexible than what Cody can do. Right? You're not really tearing down from Jared Goff. Like, that's just, unless you're going into like the Russ Wilson, Geno Smith tier, right? But at the same time, like, he does have the 27 first. Both sides, this is not like even though I want the Brad side, like the Drake Squares side, I can do a lot with both sides in a best ball league. Like, I think that's the beauty of some of these trades is, and some may say, oh, well, you're on the fence on this one. I am, because I can see from both sides what they're doing, and you could see where the next steps can be for both teams. Like, I'm sure this isn't the final trade for Cody Smith. This isn't going to be the final destination for Drake Squared. He may move on from Drake London to go tier down and get another asset if he needs to peel one off, or if he doesn't necessarily believe in Drake May early on, he can tier down off of Drake May into Trevor Lawrence plus or Dak Prescott plus. And in a best ball, that's the kind of the way you want to do it, right? Is you want to have the asset that's higher and move it back down into your back. So I don't have a problem. I don't ultimately have a problem with this deal. I think it's very fair for both sides and what they're trying to do. I prefer the Drake squared side just because if I have to hit the ejecto seat, cuz like I've got the two assets that are probably going to be easier to move in a 2-for-1.
Right. And I know talking with Cody as well is he has Drake London as, even with I'll call it a disappointing year from like dynasty manager expectations from Michael Penix, he still has Drake London as one of his highest rated receivers in terms of like yardage output fantasy wise. I have pulled up the Trinity here and just take a peek, right? Drake London right on the trend line, 7.57. Awesome receiver. Again, he's going to be the benefactor. If it was closer to what we saw at the very end of the season, in these games where maybe there's a good game script and he has a lot of opportunity, I think Drake London could be an absolute like wide receiver 1 type score. But look at again, limited sample size, but look how far above the line Rashee Rice is. And I think that's what the Chiefs offense can give you, as well as that efficiency on top of, some good wide receiver play. So if we see what we saw early from Rice, if he's healthy, if the suspension isn't there, I'm really interested to see what happens with Rice and all this. But again, Cody, like, I think I'm cool with taking the Rice off in the first. I'm going to feel a lot better about that in the start 14. Cool. Okay.
Ooh.
Yes, we have S. Hamilton, old Sean Hamilton 24. This is a fun format, so stick with the Triflex in mind, Brandon, okay? So 12 teams, start 13, 2 quarterback, 2 tight end, and a super flex. So you got to start 2 quarterbacks. You can start a third. I don't have any war that's going to be able to break this down in front of me here, but I can tell you, again, it's probably optimal to have all quarterbacks in all those spots that you can. Okay? The scoring is 5 for a touchdown, -4 for an interception, so you don't want the turds. It's a 0.5 PPR. It's a 0.33 point per carry. That is heavy. That is a bell cow format right there. But it's also a 1.25 PPR for wide receivers and a 2.0 for tight ends. So everyone gets some points here. We got Joe Burrow and we got Bijan Robinson. So 2 top end guys at their positions, Brandon. On the surface, I got some more context, of course. But on the surface here, 12 by 13, 2 quarterback, 2 tight end, all that other stuff. Joe Burrow or Bijan Robinson?
I'm probably going to stick with Joe Burrow. Just because long-term, like you said, long-term war, like Bijan's great. This is not a slander Bijan. Although the 0.33 points per carry, the 0.5 PPR, all the funky bonuses kind of somewhat cancel each other out just a little bit, because you figure Joe Burrow on a week in, week out basis is probably worth at least in 2 to 2.5 in the completion, in that random completion bonus of 0.1 per completion.
Right.
But it kind of gets negated out by the probably 12-ish carries that Bijan's going to get. So that's probably like a -1 to the Joe side.
Yeah, probably right. And like Bijan's probably one of those guys that like you're making that bet that he can be the elite running back scorer, right?
At minimum, can he sustain 2024 production? Right. Like if he can sustain that, I would be a little interested to see what Bijan looked like. Because even at the end,
let me show you.
Oh, there we go.
Even with the high PPC, it was Burrow with 32.9 points per game and Bijan at 24.2 in this league.
Yeah, I would even say we don't have the information, right? Like what was Bijan with Penix? What was Bijan with Kirk Cousins? Because I think they were two different offenses to a degree. If I recall correctly, I don't have all the data in front of me, so flame me, chat, please. If I'm completely wrong, but I want to say that Bijan ran the ball a little bit more, but didn't have as much in the pass catching. But I still think at the end of the day, it's a running back for a quarterback tie. Like I don't think I think Sean, I'm assuming Sean is receiving Burrow.
I assume
that would be exactly kind of what I would want to do with my running back, with my high-end running back, is try to get into a tier. This is probably the highest tier he could get. I don't think you could probably get in this funky format. I don't think you could get Bijan for the upper shelf, right? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels. I don't think you can get any of those 4. So getting Joe is probably the highest you could get in that team. Like,
Right.
yeah, I'm fine with it. Even with Joe, like even if Joe takes a 15% regression from where I'm just giving a number out here, you're still looking at Burrow being equivalent to Bijan, and Bijan's a year older. And now what are you able to sell him for after, 3 years of Bijan? We're going to have the conversations of, how much longer can he produce at this high level? How much, whereas Joe might still be able to produce 6 to 10 more years. So I know we don't play in those vacuums anymore in Dynasty. We play in the what are you doing for me now? And I guess the only way I wouldn't take Joe, Ty, is if I already have one of those top 4 and I'm locked and ready to go. Because I don't necessarily need to have in a 12 by 13, even though it's a Triflex. If I've got Jaden Daniels, Drake May, do I really need to add another Joe Burrow? Or
it's funny you say that, man.
Because
your instincts are so right here. So look at this, okay? So the team that traded away Joe Burrow had Jaden Daniels already, right? They had Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy. So right in line with what you're saying. So Sean had Bijan, Henry, CMC, Jacobs, Chase Brown, Chuba, and Tracy. He ain't hurting at running back. He had Dak, Darnold, Shuck, Dimes, Cousins, and Flacco. He had Cousins last year, so he had that experience. I mean, Cousins had some good games, but we know the lows of Kirk Cousins as well. So you nailed it, man. Right? Is the team trading away Joe Burrow? They can see that as I can trade that away because of what else I have. Right?
I swear I did not see that post before. Full disclaimer, did not know that. Literally had to play, and I'm doing this from a Saturday Night Mailbag where Shane, myself, and Mitch from Dynasty Theory did like a what if. Like I always play the what ifs. Like how does something not work? Like this is the way that it would not make sense to make the deal, right? As if you did have all of that, and you're like, well, I don't need Joe Burrow. I would much rather have the Bijan side. But 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to probably take the Joe Burrow side. So this makes sense. It makes total sense. He's playing from the team that traded with Sean is playing from his excess, which he feels strong enough because he had, I believe you said he had Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen. So he's already playing from a war. He's got 2 war difference makers at that position. He needed a war difference maker at the running back position. Said, hey, I'll give you this Joe Burrow. You have Dak and a bunch of cycling through flex options at quarterback. Here's some stability. Oh, shiny object. Here we go. I'll take it. Yeah, I only got to give up my Bijan. Oh, look, I got bell cow Henry, bell cow CMC, bell cow Jacobs, bell cow Brown, bell cow Chuba. Like I got 4 bell cows in a 12 by 13 with all these funky scoring. Like, yeah, I can push from there.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Absolutely. 100%. Yep. And I mean, the triflex of it all is honestly, I think I'm greedy. If I had Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy and Joe Burrow, unless I knew that I can make a deal and like go and get a Dak, go and get a Geno, go and get that third quarterback whenever I want to, I'd probably play that a little fast and loose, but I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty hard to get a quarterback in this league. Like it's going to take a positional difference maker like a Bijan. And if you haven't listened to it, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because if you can pull back up his roster pieces for a second, like I'm just thinking in my head, like the gentleman had, the other trade partner had Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, JJ McCarthy. Like, is there some other running back, Ty? I'm looking at different options because we talked through different options. Like, could he have gotten JJ McCarthy and not given up Bijan? I'm not sure because what would he have given him? Derrick Henry, CMC, Josh Jacobs, Chase Brown. Like, he probably would have had to give up 2 of those in order to get to JJ McCarthy. So by giving up the 1 Bijan, he scooted to what he felt was the best quarterback available on a 1-for-1 basis.
Mm-hmm. And I really can't hate it. Again, you can't fit 4 into your lineup, right? But you can play a little bit of keep away. And, again, like having guys like Allen, Daniels, and Burrow all in one roster is pretty damn disgusting. But that maybe came at a cost of the rest of your roster doesn't look too hot. So a Bijan is probably pretty attractive there. Feels like a hand and glove fit. But again, it's going to cost a lot to get a quarterback in a Triflex. So if that lower market's not there, this is what it's going to cost. But Sean, you traded from, I'll call it your excess, the top of your excess, but you traded the one that people actually want. And now your team is better for it because, again, it's always going to be optimal to have the quarterback in that third spot over any other positional player. So I'm not going to tell myself the story that if I have two, I'm going to be okay. So, I mean, this is Triflex. I don't personally play in any Triflex leagues, but I know that's where we're going to get weird with it, right? Like, we got to lean into the format. We can't just ignore it. Anything else on this one, Brandon?
Yeah, I would say this is also like a really good example of not being afraid to make the tough move. I know it probably would pain him to move Bijan. And when you have an excess like that in many leagues, it's very easy to try and trade from the bottom, right? To try and get, he had Tyrone Tracy and Chuba Hubbard and Josh Jacobs. It's easy to try and sell the guys that quote unquote nobody wants, but I'm going to package them to try and get up. He was able to trade from the top and still maintain his roster construction, but was able to add a quarterback that made sense to his roster. So like, shout out to Sean for doing that, but that's something that it does take a little bit of discipline sometimes, is to not always look at the bottom, but to kind of work from a top down perspective and take the asset that most people are going to want to make the move. So that's just something like I picked up with that deal, is he could have easily played Chuba and Tracy and something, and maybe like Darnold into JJ McCarthy, and it's like, well, I gutted out some of my depth just to get the one piece that I want. Whereas, right, it was easy to make a 1-for-1. It makes sense for both sides.
Yeah, that's one of those deals where both sides leave it feeling more disgusting than what they went in with it. And it's probably not the best deal that they could find. So way to get the deal done, and great one to keep us going here in the middle of the show. Plank Crew, a.k.a. Dynasty Alex. Got a 12-team Superflex of best ball. PPR. It's a start 14. It's a 2.0 tight end premium. It's a 0.25 point per carry. It's a 4-point passing touchdown for the quarterbacks. 6 points for positional players. We got start 1 running back, start 1 wide receiver, 10 flexes, and you're not required to start a tight end, Brandon, okay? So in this one, 12 by 14 best ball, all that good stuff. We got Josh Allen and Cortland Sutton being sent away for Baker Mayfield, Drake London, and Chase Brown. So Brandon, talk me through a 12-team start 14 best ball, 4-point passing touchdown for the quarterbacks with the point per carry. So I get the rushing quarterback. I feel like I don't need to kill it at running back or at quarterback in this format. If I can have the team full of positional players and have like depth and fill out there, I feel like that's what's going to be the thing that's going to push me over the top. And I can put in my Genos, my Sam Darnolds, and I'll get by week to week at quarterback. So if you're moving off Josh Allen, getting to your Baker Mayfield, you're taking the upgrade in Drake London and Chase Brown, but you also have to send away Sutton. So where do you sit on this one, Brandon?
I actually still sit on the Josh Allen side. As much as it's a 3-for-2, it's best ball, it's depth, it's 12 by 14. There's the PPC, there's the 4-point touchdown. I'm assuming that's passing touchdown. So yes, you still get 6 points for the rushing touchdown, which is something that Josh Allen still likes to do. You don't get that necessarily with Baker. Like, I'm trying to break down the deal to make sense for myself. Cortland Sutton and Chase Brown probably cancel each other out to some degree, for the most part. Like,
juice to the Chase Brown side.
Juice to the Chase Brown side, but not too much.
Roster construction wise, yeah, absolutely. There's going to be people who say you're stupid for thinking that Chase Brown and Cortland Sutton are equal. Yep, that's fine. I'll give you like a point. Maybe there's like a 1/4 to 1/2 point value on that. Okay, so then would you say that the Baker Mayfield Drake London side is even remotely equivalent to Josh Allen? No. That's not even the gap between Chase Brown and Cortland Sutton. Sure ain't the gap between Baker Mayfield, Drake London, and Josh Allen. Like, it feels like if this was a 3-for-1, it's easy. Then it makes sense. Then I'm good. Baker Mayfield, Drake London, Chase Brown. Fine. That's good. But it's the addition of Cortland Sutton, and I think people just like wrote off Sutton, but he was actually pretty darn good last year. Like, he was not just another, like, he was a startable asset. And
I know that the format doesn't necessarily play that way because it's a start one wide receiver kind of deal, but he's still useful in a 12x14. And I think that was discredited a little bit too much. Again, I don't mind the tear down. I don't mind the approach. I just don't think that I would be comfortable giving up. Like if this was Josh Allen for the 3 pieces, you taking the 3 for 1?
Yes.
And a slam dunk.
Yeah.
It's a slam dunk. We're not even we're on to the next trade already. We're not even having this conversation. But the fact that the Cortland Sutton is still there, it makes me still say I'm still cool with having the elite difference making quarterback in Josh Allen. At least for me.
No, and that's fair, because if I'm looking at the start 14 aspect, right, is you're probably rarely going to find a 3 for 1 deal, right? In any circumstance where you're getting 3 legit starters back, right? So the Sutton probably has to move in the deal. Again, like Sutton, he's not moving dynasty mountains, but in the Broncos offense where we're hyped on Bo Nix and he should be the mainstay in town in the wide receiver room, I'm excited, man. Like I want me some Sutton, but that feels also like, again, a roster construction piece. And if I'm just trying to think, right, again, 12x14, like I want to make sure that I am flush and good at my positional pieces. So if I can accept the step down in high-end production, in high-end sustained dynasty value that Josh Allen represents, like the golden goose of fantasy football, to get into Baker Mayfield, who had an awesome season, and if I want to bet that he can just give me quarterback and give me good quarterback production, I like getting into a Drake London, who is a hell of a lot of better receiver, and I know that I can go and make a subsequent move with that Drake London, right? Like if I told you this was Baker Mayfield, Terry McLaurin, Chase Brown, and a first for Josh Allen and Cortland Sutton, is that any different for you?
Probably. Might be a little bit more. I'm just thinking from my perspective in best ball, if I want to tear down off an elite asset, I want to make sure that I'm getting multiple starting pieces, which I'm getting, right? Mm-hmm. But with Cortland Sutton, I still can tear off of Cortland Sutton, who had 81, 10, 80, and 80, and 8 touchdowns, not 80 touchdowns. Good God, if he had 80 touchdowns, we'd be pumping him up a little bit higher. But he had 8 touchdowns. He had 1,000 yards on 80 catches. Like that's nothing. Those don't grow on trees that often, even in this hyperinflated passing market that we've come to know in the NFL. Like he's still worth something. Again, in the vacuum, I would want the Josh Allen side, but in a best ball, I could do a lot more with the left, with what Dynasty Alex is getting, because I can move Drake London into Brandon Ayuk in a first. I can move Chase Brown into the non-Amarion Hampton, Ashton Genty running backs, and maybe I can get a third, right? Or maybe I can even go crustier and I can get like David Montgomery in a second, which now I can stretch out my depth. I could keep that Baker Mayfield. So now it's like a 5 for 2, and I could do a lot of damage. So it's really hard to sometimes look at these best ball deals, especially in the depth deals, because there's so many different cascading trades that you can make with the assets that, like, on the surface, I want the right-hand side. But in best ball, I can see why why it makes sense to Alex, because he wants to be able to probably take the Drake London and Chase Brown and be able to have the flexibility to move them and split them even further. Whereas with Cortland Sutton, it's probably harder in that market to split Cortland Sutton into, Wandale Robinson in a second, or Wandale Robinson in a third. I'm just using Wandale Robinson because I'm a Giants fan, but something to that nature, like the wide receiver 70s that don't matter in lineup, but do matter in best ball, and get the additional pick, because nobody really wants to do that to get to Cortland Sutton.
That's the thing. And honestly, I think it might be even hard to find people who want to come up for a Drake London, for a Chase Brown, for a Baker Mayfield, right? And I can see it almost on both sides, where I don't know how much motivation there is if I'm sitting there with Baker Mayfield and Drake London to package that up together to get to Josh Allen. Because I'm like, do I need to do that? No. Would it be awesome? Absolutely. But there's going to be a tug and pull on both sides. So you have to have kind of two motivated managers to get something done in a league like this. If there's anything we know about Dynasty Alex, that there's going to be multiple deals that are coming here. So given the cascade trading effect in mind, given what I know those assets are going to do for your lineup, even if we aren't scoring points right now, what that will do for your flexibility for the rest of your team, I want Baker Mayfield, London, and Chase Brown. I will send away Josh Allen and light a candle, and I'll play a little bit of sad music, get me through it, maybe draw a bath, right? But Josh Allen, your services are thanked, but I will go on with Baker Mayfield. Let us know. Do you want Josh Allen, Cortland Sutton, or do you want Baker Mayfield, Drake London, and Chase Brown in this best ball format? Okay, Vapad does fantasy. Another Josh Allen deal. So it's just Josh Allen in mind. It's a 12 by 11. It's a 0.3 point per carry. It's a 2.0 tight end premium, 6-point pass and touchdown, -1 interception. Kind of similar to the deal we just looked at almost, right? We got Josh Allen and Mike Evans. And we got Baker Mayfield, Rashee Rice, and Bucky Irving. So we're right back here, right? Baker for Allen, Evans instead of Sutton. We talked already Rice versus London. Bucky Irving. How do you feel Bucky Irving versus Chase Brown? And we went from a 12 by 14 best ball to a 12 by 11 superflex lineup with some juice to PPC. So how do you feel in this format here, Brandon?
Still want the Josh Allen side. Is that weird to say? I still want the Josh Allen side. I mean, and a lot of it is because of format matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 0.3 PPC, it matters. It matters in this situation because I think it makes the gap between Mike Evans and Rashee Rice feel palatable. You know, you don't feel good about trading your Rashee Rice and stepping down to 30-plus-year-old Mike Evans. You don't feel good, but you're trying to lean in to win. So then is it Baker Mayfield and Bucky or Josh Allen, which 9 times out of 10 people are going to probably take in most formats Josh Allen. I get why Vapad sent those 3 assets. I mean, people really like the name of Bucky. I mean, he's probably from last offseason to this offseason might be the fastest riser in the running back market. Baker's definitely worth it. We just discussed Baker. We still have the Pandora's box or Rashee Rice. Cody believes in him. Mm-hmm. There's many within our Discord community that believe in Rashee Rice. DDFantasyFootball.com. Make sure you subscribe. Use the code TRADE or TRADE GOATS. But yeah, it's still at the end of the day. I don't think that I could move off what I'm using right now as a bias of Josh Allen. I think he's still at the ceiling of his fantasy outputs. And I think for right now, that is okay to lose a little bit of depth here, especially with a 6-1. Like, I'm not penalized for some of the Josh Allen, inevitable, picks, nor am I penalized for the Baker mistakes because Baker makes them too. Mm-hmm. I just feel comfortable with Josh Allen, and I feel like this is a pretty fair price to acquire him, and I still get Mike Evans, who maybe for the next year or two gives me still close to 1,000 yards. They're probably still going to force feed him to get him to 1,000 because they want to keep that streak going. I think that's a fair price.
And this is where I'm happy that the 2 deals were similar, because that's how I can say this is why this matters in this league and this is why this matters in this league. Because here again, I'm not like 12 by 11. I think it's fake deep. I am okay still playing studs, duds. I don't need my depth filled out all the way in a 12 by 11. And a 0.3 point per carry, any extra juice you're giving to Bucky Irving, you got to give that almost doubly so to Josh Allen. And as those starters count down, my need to get an elite quarterback go up. So here again, Rice over Evans, obviously, but again, it's kind of the same argument as Sutton. If Evans can be Evans, cool. All right. You trade away Baker Mayfield. Okay. Again, if you're okay with taking that step down production wise, you get Rice, you get Bucky, that probably helps the team. But for Vapad's team, he has Josh Allen. He adds that to Jaden Daniels. Nice. His Chuba Chase Brown. Sweet. He can probably fill that out with a bunch of backup bodies and just, play the running back position more as an open revolving door. Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton, Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, Ricky Pearsall, Adam Thielen, Keenan Allen. We got JT Sanders and Noah Fant at tight end. Fair enough at a 2.0 tight end premium. I think this makes Vapad's team better. Yes, he loses some of the depth, but I think by doing this, he actually makes the Jacobys, the Pearsall, the Thielen more likely to actually enter into his lineup, therefore not having like negative value on his team because Not a lot of people want Thielen. People want Pearsall, but not a lot of people want Thielen or Keenan. So I might as well make room for them to make their way into the lineup. I'm going to roster them. But you get the absolute advantage of Allen and JD5 in this format. I like this deal a lot. This is where I'm firmly on Josh Allen and Mike Evans, right? So that's again, league context is going to sway me here. And Brandon, so you were kind of on Josh Allen on both of them, though.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like the hammer matters. Yeah. Like it just does. We can talk about different ways to get creative to get the hammer. I mean, we saw in both deals, both in Sean and in Vapad's deals, like they had to, maybe absorb a wide receiver that maybe doesn't always crack their lineup. In Vapad's case, how often is Mike Evans going to crack his lineup? I don't know, because he's got Jamar Chase and he's got AJ Brown. And then possibly he could have maybe even traded. Maybe he could have done Baker and AJ Brown for Josh Allen and Mike Evans, and maybe he could have kept that Bucky, or maybe even tossed in a Chase Brown. Like there's different ways that you can sometimes put the lipstick on the pig to make the pig still a pig, but it looks prettier. So it's like, I'll take it. That's so cute. Like when my my 4-year-old, likes to put on makeup or likes to do things. And it's like, look, Daddy, look how cute I am. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be so much fun to clean that off. But, you're still cute, right? Like it's nice, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? Like, Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. At as far as I'm concerned, Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. The last time I checked, yes, he got married. Yes, he got the MVP. But at the end of the day, like Josh Allen is still Josh Allen.
Yes, and hopefully in perpetuity, Josh Allen is Josh Allen. I mean, Sloppy Eric, member of the DD Discord, shouts out to you as well. Again, I can't get mad at a Bucky, Rice, and Irving return package, right? But given what we know about Vapad's team, given just the difference, and again, where I want to prioritize my stuff, this is where I'm going to do probably some stupid stuff for Josh Allen if I have the opportunity to. So it's not every day you see a Josh Allen move, and we got 2 on this show already, Brandon. So pretty nice. Okay. So everyone take a breath, go, get a drink, light a smoke, whatever you need to do, because I'm going to give a little bit of some context here. So Diaz, the league, the direction. So this is a startup we did. Our friend of the show, Ben Mason, started up a 12x10 best ball league, Brandon. That's it, right? There was some fun scoring, right? We got tiered PPR, 1.5 for running backs, 2 for wide receivers, a 3 tight end PPR. It's a 0.25 PPC. There's first down bonuses all over the board, but there's also this whole start to defenses business of this league. Now, there's no defenses moved in this deal. We don't need to talk about that. Please don't turn this off because defenses are involved. But the fascinating part here, it's a best ball league. There's only 32 defenses, and how teams approach that. Some teams got 0 defenses. And let me tell you, in this league, defenses score about 20 points per game on average. So if you don't have any defenses, you're going to be at a severe disadvantage. Diaz was a team that prioritized getting defenses once he kind of read the auction room. So he leaned hard into it. He got about 5 defenses. Brett here in this deal, he got 2. But Brett's team is, he's competing. Diaz definitely isn't. So in this vacuum of a league where we got defenses involved, which is like dangling a dynasty asset that will never get injured. You can never draft another one unless the NFL expands, and week over week, except for their bye week, they're going to score points. So it's a very interesting trade market in this league. But Brandon, Tua Tagovailoa and Devin Singletary, or Jonathan Brooks, a 2026 first, and $369 of free agent acquisition budget, aka FAB, in $1,000 budget.
Yeah. Leave it to Ben Mason to come up with some crazy funky scoring. Love you, Ben.
Yeah. But essentially 12x10 best ball with some tomfoolery on the back end.
So let's just try to break this thing down. $369 of FAB or Devin Singletary, because that's literally what that.
$369 of FAB 10 days a week.
so a 2026 first for Tua. Is that like?
I don't think that gets it done. Given Brett's first is looking later. The quarterback market, there's quarterbacks distributed in an interesting way in the league. It's probably going to take more than a straight first for an ISO Tua deal.
So you're going to take a running back that has, as of right now, one healthy knee?
I don't even know if he has a second knee on his body, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I get what Diaz is trying to do, right? He's not competing. Some people like the quarterback hoard. Some people like the tight end hoard. Diaz is defense hoarding. And I know in that league, with the conversations that have gone on within the community, trying to move one of them is going to require a lot of trade assets, which I'll be very interested to see if it ever happens, because it needs to be on a trade show and broken down.
It needs a whole episode for that.
It needs a whole episode just for that one trade. Yeah. I mean, I think Brett got the better end of the deal. He got two assets that he can utilize in a best ball situation. I don't know how much Tua is going to actually move. Man, this is just one of those trades where just the fab, you look at it and it just throws you off initially. So you have to like recalibrate your brain to be like, okay, why did he take 37% of his fab? It had to have been like all that Brett had left, and Brett was just like, yeah, here, take it. I don't care.
Right.
I mean, Singletary's probably going to be a decent piece. I know a lot of people think that it's going to just be the Cam Scattaboo show and with a little bit of Tyrone Tracy in New York, but Singletary still has a bit of value. He was signed by the head coach, so there still is going to be some room for Devin Singletary. He's not completely dead. He might find his way into a Brett lineup once or twice, and that already makes the $369 in fab worth it. And if the placeholder for Diaz is Jonathan Brooks, like, I think that's the underrated piece why I like Brett's side of the deal so much. It's not so much that he just acquired Tua for a late first, but he was able to move an asset that is literally going to be a zero in best ball. You don't want as many zeros when you're competing. And so having two week in, week out scoring pieces, that's the side that I think I'm leaning on. I don't know if Tua is worth a late 2026 first, but at the same time, what really is the market for Tua? It just feels like it's been kind of all over the place all off season. There's folks that believe in him and think that he's still the leading passer from 2023. And there's folks that are thinking he's still one random uncomfortable fall down and hit a knee pad, and he's got another concussion and he's going to retire. So he's a very divisive fantasy asset. So yeah, I mean, maybe Diaz got the better price out of that, but I could see why Brett wanted to do it. Like, he just wanted to burn the first and get the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I think both can be true about Tua, right? Like he can be that, top 12, top 6 quarterback on a week by week basis if the offense is clicking and everyone's motivated and all that good stuff. But at the same time too, you don't know. You just don't know. Head injuries are scary, right? Like, we've seen people come back. We've seen people retire. Like, it all depends. We don't really know. I'm just going to pull up the Dynasty Daddy here. Shout out to Dynasty Daddy. You can head on over to dynastydaddy.com, pull up the power rankings. I punched in my league. Pulled up Diaz's team here. So again, Diaz, he got a ton of quarterbacks, a ton of defenses, and not much else. All right. This is his second first, so he's got another first in the bank here. Okay, Hurts, JJ McCarthy, Jackson Dart, right? So again, Tua is expendable, and you almost want to find ways to move a Tua on a team like this that you're not competing. You may want to de-risk yourself, but even by doing so, you're not really breaking an optimal quarterback build, because I think in a 12 by 10 super flex, at least 3 quarterbacks is probably an optimal build, and I don't need Jackson Dart scoring to start the year. So I'm cool there, Diaz. But then you got, Scattaboo, Sampson, Jonathan Brooks. When Jonathan Brooks is your 3rd rated running back, it's like, yeah.
This is going to be, I mean, I can see exactly what he's trying to do. He's taking all of the he's got the band of misfit toys at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And and knowing Diaz, knowing him, right? Know it when you see it. What a team name.
Yeah.
The second any one of these guys has any spike in value, he's going to capitalize on it in this league.
Yes.
And so that's what he's basically doing, is the second Jonathan Brooks is worth anything, he will probably either A, recoup a pick, or B, he's going to recruit fab to go get another asset onto the team to rotate to continue to build out the pick depth, because he knows he's going to need the picks to jump on with his quarterbacks and jump on with his defense. So I could see why he's doing his side completely 100%.
So on Brett's side, he had Patrick Mahomes, but he had Jalen Milroe and Geno Smith. So okay, you add Tua to that room. So you don't need Milroe right away. I like that 3 quarterbacks, with a Milroe waiting in the wings. I like that. You got Saquon and some hopes and beans at running back behind, right? Devin Neal, Brashard Smith, Damian Martinez, Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary. So, I mean, hey, I want to bring on the New York Giants correspondent here in Brandon, and he said Singletary is not dead. It's
he's close.
Poking it with a stick to make sure it's still moving, but yeah. So, running wide receiver, we got Tyreek Hill, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Steph Diggs, Leggett. Shane called me out of the Dynasty Deal show last time. It is Leggett, I swear. Cooper Kupp, Troy Franklin, and some others, right? Kelsey Gray, Juwan Johnson, Austin Hooper. No first, all the rest is picks. So again, I think he has the Vikings defense and the Steelers defense. So he's not hurting at defense. He doesn't need to bend the knee to go and, he doesn't need to trade away Saquon, Mahomes, and all of his picks for that. That probably wouldn't even get it done, honestly. But I think in this league, in this deal, I know that Diaz ain't doing anything, right? So I really like this move. I think it takes advantage of just moving off of that quarterback value and actually being able to get something for that. I like that. I think utilizing the fab is going to be interesting. And if there's anyone that's going to grind these edges, it's going to be Diaz. For Brett, like you said, he gets off a 0 in Jonathan Brooks. That even may have been like an auto draft at the end of the fast auction that he just got stuck with Jonathan Brooks, right? But Singletary, sure. I think it makes sense for both sides. I'm going to lean Diaz's side here because I know that aligns really well with what his team needs. So we got through it. We discussed the defensive league. So I'm really proud of us, man.
That was good. That was a good one. That was a good diagnosis of that. Proud of you.
We're out of the waters, okay? These are just 3 palate cleansers, okay? Take a breath. We did it. Let me. We did it, okay? We did it. 12 team start 10 Superflex PPR 6-point passing touchdown. Nasty Nate sends away Drake May, sends away Tet McMillan, and sends away 2026 first. Gets back Kyler Murray and Puka Nacua. So 12 by 10, Brandon. We got Kyler Murray, Drake May swap there. Let me ask you, Tet in the 26 first or Puka Nacua?
Puka. I think Puka has top wide receiver ability this season. I think he could finish as high as the wide receiver 1 overall.
Yeah. Zero qualms with that. I 100% agree. That's probably the price, right? It's going to take a Tet in a first where you have to feel uncomfortable. Like the Tet if Tet is elite, then that's awesome. You get an extra first in the back pocket, but you need that to go right. Give me the Puka today. Drake May, Kyler Murray. The Dynasty community is going to smash the button for Drake May. Is there a world where Kyler Murray can at least close that gap enough where getting the Puka makes sense to you, Brandon?
I mean, I think Kyler Murray could outproduce Drake May, but the reality is he won't be able to recoup the dynasty value that Drake May will already inherently have at this point in his career. But I would still, I feel good with that because I've got the best non-quarterback asset in the deal. So I'm okay with not having necessarily the better quote unquote dynasty value quarterback. I'm getting the production. I mean, Kyler's probably a top 10 quarterback for the next 4 to 6 years. Easy.
Hopefully.
Right? Like roughly, again, we don't play in the 4 to 6 year windows anymore. We play in the here and the now, but I still feel like Kyler Murray is still a top 10 quarterback production wise. I'm cool with if I'm trying to win because I'm assuming that Nasty Nate is trying to lean in to win. He's taking some of his youth in Drake May, taking the 106, 107 of this year's 2024 draft, slapping his 2026 first, which is probably mid to late. I don't know if there's a secondary banner to this. But that's probably, like you said, it's probably the cost to get the Puka. 2 firsts or Puka. It's probably, the fair price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem with this deal. I mean, if I'm on the other side, I'm getting a young quarterback with what we hope is an ascending offense. We're hoping that we're getting the alpha wide receiver to Bryce Young, and you get a 2026 first that you can either, if you're competing or your team overperforms, you can utilize that pick to lean in further, or if you're not, you can sit on those 2 assets and you bank the 2026 first. So I don't have a problem really with either side. I just prefer to have the Puka and the Kyler side, because I feel like Puka is probably, he could be the best asset in the entire deal. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I believe he would be, if I had to put I think he would be. And just for fun, I punched into keep trade cut because we're back in 12 by 10 land. So I punched that in. Yeah. The Drake May Tet in a first side wins by about the value of a high 3rd round pick. So not going to be deal breaking. Yeah. So let's add a little bit more context. So old Nasty Nate wanted to upgrade at wide receiver to lock down the room, used May's artificial dynasty value, aka ADV, and just got back potentially a higher producing quarterback this year. Wasn't able to tier up from Tet, just using picks. So Nasty Nate's team now: Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Jackson Dart, and 6 other quarterbacks. We got Josh Jacobs, Kenny Walker, Joe Mixon, James Conner, and 6 other running backs. We got Puka, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, Steph Diggs, and 3 other wide receivers. We got Njoku, and I think it's AJ Barner sitting in the background at tight end. He doesn't have his 26 first. He sent it away here, but he has all of his other picks. So I think on this deal, having Joe Burrow makes me feel a lot better about sending away my Drake May. And I think getting a Puka definitely can unlock this roster. Pair him up with Swole Batman and Scary Terry, who, fingers crossed, probably going to get an extension here shortly. I like this a lot for both sides. I think it's a good deal. If you told me I'm getting Drake May, Tet, and a first, are you kidding me? But again, you have to give up the Puka Nacua, who I believe is the best dynasty asset. I agree, could be and probably should be a top 6 wide receiver, if not wide receiver 1. And you're getting Kyler Murray as a step down, but that still works with your roster and you're not losing there. So give me Puka, give me Kyler. Gun to my head, knowing your context, but I like Drake May, Tet, and the first equally as much than the other side. So this is a great deal. But yeah, I'll take Kyler and Puka if I have to choose.
Yep,
cool.
I agree.
Awesome,
good breakdown.
Thanks. Speaking of good breakdown, Hen always gives us it's a good thing to break down. So got 12 teams, start 10, super flex. It's a 2.0 tight end premium. The first is a mid borderline playoff team. So Hen sends away Devontae Adams, Alvin Kamara, and a 2026 third, and Steinberg 69 sends away Chris Olave, that 2026 first, mid borderline playoff team, and a 2026 fourth. So you're giving the mid borderline playoff team Kamara and Devontae Adams, 2 veteran assets that I like that are going to probably score a lot of points. You never know when the wheels are going to fall off with those guys. So you play them till they do fall off. On Hen's side, he gets Olave, a 26 first, and a 26 fourth. Hen won last year due to luck. So he got his dues paid, and now he's looking to reset, build value. He put his feet up. He's got the cigar in his hand, like he's good. So Olave, a 26 first and a fourth, or Devontae Adams, Alvin Kamara, and a third. 12 by 10 super flex, Brandon.
Knowing the context, it makes sense why he got the Olave in the 2026 first. My caveat would be, what's the plan with Olave? If you're going to reset and build value, you're probably not wanting to reset and build value with a wide receiver that a lot of folks are a little skeptical of, for the same reasons that they're skeptical of Tua, right? With the concussions. It's a good way of getting off of Devontae and Kamara. Like you said, there's, that 2026 third might be earlier now because he's trying to reset. He's not going to luck into the title. He's probably going to be, that might be like the 305 type range. Like he'll compete, but he won't necessarily win. Or maybe he's in the playoffs because we don't know the depth, and maybe he's fine and he's just trying to trim off the excess to try and, get some future assets. I I would say in a situation like this where you're trying to do stuff like this, like make sure you have a plan for taking on the risky asset. Like if he's going to do, because it's 12 by 10, how often is Olave going to start? Like what is your plan with Olave? Are you going to hold on to him and ride out the production because he's younger, or are you going to try to trade him the second he's out on the field? And if so, for what? Because in this kind of league with a 2.0 tight end premium, can you move him for a tight end to store a little bit more value down the road? Like, can you get a younger tight end in a pick? Can you get like a? I'm just trying to think here. Could you get Mason Taylor in a third or a fourth? Can you get somebody who's probably going to have to sit for a little bit? Maybe a Terrence Ferguson because he's behind a couple of tight ends. Can you get a T Ferg and get maybe a third? Because again, if you're trying to really truly recoup value and return value, Chris Olave is probably not the asset you want to sit there and say, I'm going to stake my flag and that's the guy I want to put on my roster. I want to find something that I could be a little bit more secure in. And given the points in the format, I probably would think a young tight end would probably be the ideal way to try to maybe store that value. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you sent my brain down a path of trying to figure out what tight end would I try to what would I try to do with Olave? I mean, and if you could find your way into even a Kincaid or a Kraft, right? Like something like that could make sense, right? Again, I would probably do it. You didn't aim lower and get the pick with it, right? But yeah, I mean, looking at this here, and also what came to my mind was a previous show from Scott Connor where he talked about those leverage deals that you can try, and one of them was sending a first and getting the 2 veterans back. Right. So we've had people on the show, Cody included, and I would probably do the same thing. Right. If I'm sitting there with the 112 or 111 in this year's draft, I'm happily kind of sending that away to get either Kamara or Devontae Adams on the right team. But when you talk a future first, that changes the math and it's a different kind of asset. Right. So I mean, if you want to get Devontae Adams and Alvin Kamara for your future first, all right. But that Chris Olave, I mean, I'm looking at John Bauer's tiers here. A good perk of the Discord. Sign up, trade goat. You get access to John Bauer's tiers. He's got Chris Olave above Devontae Adams. Fantasy Calc has Olave over Devontae Adams. I'm sure Keep Trade Cut probably has the same thing. And if Olave can just stay healthy, if he can get supported by any kind of quarterback play, even if they just put one of those machines back there where they pump the ball and, like a little jugs machine, maybe that will work out for Olave. But I think if he can do the thing, there's going to be a window on Olave for sure. And I think I'm trying to reset, I'm trying to restock the cupboards, getting off of Adams, Kamara in a third, getting Olave in a first with a 4 thrown in, sure. I think that accomplishes your goal there, Hen. So I'll take Olave the first and the 4th. As far as a competing team goes, I don't want to send away my first in July to make this bet. I don't want to send away Olave even in the bet because, Brandon, how awesome is when you have those first or that Olave on your roster in season to move to the teams that are now trying to actively kick it to 26, right? Because it didn't start well for them. Having those kind of guys on your roster is important there as well. So I don't even know if I want to make that move as a contender today.
I mean, we're getting close enough to the season tag where training camp is less than 3 weeks away. So at least the start of it. So this is when you can start to like absorb some of the older assets. And if you do have to kick the 26 first, like it's fine. Like I think Henry did a good job of trying to, take the questionable, the risky asset in Olave. Like it could pay off and it could be something that he can utilize to move forward, or it could not pay off. And at least he got the 1st and the 4th for Adams, Kamara, and the 3rd. And it looks, he's got egg on his face. So he takes a little bit of risk too.
Right.
Steinberg takes the risk in taking the assets that could easily fall apart between now and week 1. But I don't have a problem with this kind of deal at this time in the dynasty season. This is when you could start to reload into the point season, right? As we call it, right? It's no longer dynasty season. It's point season. Like I'm fine with this. Like you probably would have to pay a first for probably Adams at this point in where people feel about him, with him being on the Rams, with him being with Matt Stafford and Sean McVay and that offense. Like I'm fine with that. And to get Kamara tagged in, like if it's saying Kamara is equivalent to Olave, fine. And we make the 3-4 swap. What is that? Probably 6 picks. Not that big of a deal. Like I'm fine with both sides of the deal. Like I would probably, if you put gun to my head, what side do you want? I probably still want Adams and Kamara. Like even though I'm rebuilding, I still think that there's still going to be long enough window throughout the season where I could possibly even get 2 firsts for those guys, straight up, individually in deals. This is just I got a package and I got the upside of possibly maybe I could get another first plus for Olave, and now I got 2 first plus and I win.
Yeah, if you can use Adams and Kamara to turn that first into the 112, I feel a hell of a lot better about it. So it's about what you have to do with that from here. But all right, man, we got one more. Let's do this, baby. We got Doc, the good doctor, Dr. B. Harris, bringing us a 12-team start 11 lineup. PPR. It's a 0.25 rushing first down and a 6-point passing touchdown. Dr. B. Harris sends away Jalen Hurts. He gets back Dak Prescott, Devon Achane, and Matthew Golden. Your classic 3-for-1, Brandon. 12 by 11 lineup. Juice with the rushing. You got Hurts. You got Achane, Dak, Golden. Where do you lean, my friend?
I think all of the different pieces of point context in this, even though like we just talked about a 12 by 11 and you just said like, it's kind of like your faux depth, right? You're in between I need the hammers, but I want to have the depth in a 12 by 11. Like it's really like one of those weird formats. I still think this is the one where I like Doc's side. I think a lot of people have disrespected Dak to the point of no return. Like Underdog, he was starting off the offseason at like quarterback 20. That's just silly. Like he was just a year and a half removed from being the quarterback 3. Like Dak, when he's on the field and he's producing, he's easily in the tier 2 of quarterbacks in terms of production. He's just hasn't been completely healthy. And so, it's out of sight, out of mind kind of deal. And we're looking at the, Super Bowl champs, and we're looking at Jalen Hurts. The rushing first down, yeah, that definitely scares me a bit, especially with giving up Jalen Hurts because of the tush push, and it's still there. So he's probably going to fall into 5 or 6 first downs a game, which gives you that extra bonus. But Devon Achane is probably going to also fall into a handful of them because he's been kind of given the workload there in Miami. And so whatever Matthew Golden can get me, there's probably a plan that's got to be there. It hurts to give up Hurts, no pun intended there, but I feel good with getting Dak, Devon, and Golden. Yeah.
I'm thinking like people are gonna be like, man, like, so you're telling me like in a previous deal, you sent away like, Allen and Evans, and then you're good with that. You got the Baker and Bucky and Rice. Like, yes, that is true. No matter how much I can disagree with it, Jalen Hurts, the Dynasty community, is not Josh Allen. He's not. Whether that's right or wrong, he's not. And yes, I think Dak. People are definitely disrespecting Dak and what he can be for fantasy managers and for the Dallas offense. Devon Achane, I think, is. Again, weirdly enough, Jonnu Smith leaving is what gets people excited about, Achane's role in the offense this year. But I think Achane can still have that elite outcome. He's one of those guys that puts up crooked numbers, as Shane would say. I think in this deal, you just have to be right that Golden is a usable asset and doesn't face plant. Right? If he face plants, you're going to want your Hurts back. But I think all things put together, give me the 3-for-1. Give me Prescott, Achane, and Golden. Remember you asked if it was a 3-for-1, it would be a slam dunk. Yeah, agreed. It is a 3-for-1. It's a slam dunk for me. Give me Doc's side. Good stuff, Doc.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if there was another wide receiver on the Hurts side, I'd probably feel good about the Hurts side. Yeah. Right? Because that's just. I mean, I'm leaning into the way that I broke down the other 2 trades. So if someone wants to come in and say, but listen, this is just, and I think too, the 6-point passing touchdown is actually that matters in this format. If it's 4, I think you actually, if it's 4. Ty, I think you could make the case to keep Hurts still.
100%.
But the fact that it's 6, that extra 2 points, even on 2 touchdowns a week, like that's 4 points. And that kind of negates all of those additional first downs that Hurts would get via the tush push.
Yeah. No, 100% agreed. If that part of the context matters, and I mean, the entire show has been context matters, scoring matters, and pay attention to your league format. Even if, like me, you don't play in a Triflex league, if you don't play in some of these leagues, that's okay. But we can extrapolate some of these things and just think about, okay, well, why do I feel the way I do about this league versus this league versus this league? So it's not just getting lost in player takes and trade calculators and consensus rankings. We want to think a little bit differently, and I think we do that pretty well over here at DD. So if you're rocking with it, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, stick around a while. Brandon, man, thank you so much for coming out. It was a fun show. Anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
I appreciate for having me on. Make sure you like and subscribe to the DDFFB page. We got a lot going on. Season is right around the corner. Join the Mannequin Chill tier. Ties on every Friday night with the Dynasty Deal Show. You got Scott and Ray with the Destination Chill. There's a lot going on this page, and there's a lot more to come in the in-season. So make sure you tap into that, and then make sure you tap in tonight to the Saturday Night Mailbag. I got old Jordan Richards on. So make sure that you are tapping into the other half of the Wake Up team to see what questions he gets for himself and how he answers them.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I'm loving the mailbag. I think it's a fun little format, a chilled out show, and we get to see all the faces on there. So make sure you're checking that out. You might see my face on there in a little bit, Brandon. We'll see, right? But yes, ddfantasyfootball.com. Use the links in the description below. Underdog, links down there as well. All gas. Patreon.com/all gas. You know we love y'all. We got weird on this one. We got the funky settings, but we got through it. And I hope this is actually entertaining, actionable, somewhere in between for you. So thank you. We love y'all. We out of this thing. Peace.